The UFC and TKO Group Holdings have spoken loud and clear. To the lazy legacies at ESPN, they've said, "We're not going to take it anymore." Instead, they'll be taking twice as much money year over year for the next 7 years in a total $7.7 billion contract with Paramount, a Skydance corporation. This and more MMA, UFC, and combat sport news after a short introduction from yours truly. Welcome to My Fitness Fight, the channel where we stand shoulder to shoulder to battle our demons and share a couple memes along the way. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and always stay fighting fit and ready to follow Big John's advice. Protect yourself at all times. In a landmark 7-year, $7.7 billion deal, the UFC is moving its exclusive US media rights to Paramount, with coverage beginning in 2026. This agreement replaces the existing pay-per-view model by making all 13 marquee numbered events and 30 fight nights available on Paramount Plus, with select cards also airing on CBS. This new deal, which averages $1.1 billion annually, more than doubles the value of the previous ESPN contract. TKO Group's president Mark Shapiro has called the pay-per-view model outdated and cited rising piracy numbers as a key motivator for the change, as fans were deterred by the high cost of each event. I gotta say, I agree with Shapiro here 100%. I was a huge fan of the UFC back in the day. I used to purchase pay-per-views regularly, and I would go out to sports bars to watch the ones that I didn't buy on my own or with friends. I practiced mixed martial arts in my 20s, and I was completely obsessed with the sport and martial arts side of it. And I've been thrilled to see the UFC and mixed martial arts in general going more mainstream, but I have never wanted to buy into their ESPN events, and I'm not really into streaming stuff unlawfully, so I've basically stopped watching the UFC except for the clips that they post on their social media pages. So I am really happy to hear about this, although I'm still not sure exactly how it will impact me, because I live in Canada and this deal is for the US media rights. Now, Paramount Plus is available in Canada, so I hope that it will be made available to Canadian viewers. I would definitely get a subscription to it if that was the case, but most streaming services do have different content packages available to different areas, so I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not able to get it. That all remains to be seen. There isn't much information available as of the time of this recording outside of the press release that I'm looking at here. Personally, I'm very interested in what will happen to the UFC's library of existing fights, because there's a lot of great fights that I haven't seen in the past 5 years. But overall, I think this is a fantastic turn. I think it will be great for the fighters and for the company and for the sport, and of course, for the viewers at home. Dana White was quoted as saying, "This historic deal with Paramount and CBS is incredible for UFC fans and our athletes. For the first time ever, fans in the US will have access to all UFC content without a pay-per-view model, making it more affordable and accessible to view the greatest fights on a massive platform. This deal puts UFC amongst the biggest sports in the world. The exposure provided by the Paramount and CBS networks under this new structure is a huge win for our athletes and anyone who loves and watches this sport." Now, he did say all UFC content, but it sounds like within the context of the conversation he was having, that likely refers to all upcoming content, not necessarily all the content that they own, which also includes the Pride library and a lot of other stuff. So that is something that I will definitely be paying attention to going forward. Dana White has also confirmed that the organization will host a fight card at the White House on July 4th, 2026, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of American independence. White is in talks with the Trump administration to finalize details and has called it a one-of-a-kind event. Ivanka Trump is reportedly involved in the planning, and renderings for the event show an octagon in the South Lawn with the White House and Washington Monument as a backdrop. White has hinted at a baddest card of all time with potential names like John Jones and Tom Aspinall. This sounds absolutely wild to me. I really think the more that mixed martial arts as a sport grows, the more society is going to benefit from it, and the more it'll move away from the kind of blood sport stereotyping that people have towards it, because I hear people say things like, oh, this is the circus and bred in circus. And I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I think mixed martial arts is actually much less like that than other popular sports like football or hockey or baseball, because MMA is much more engaging and it's an individual sport. You don't have a team to root for, although if you're nerdy enough about your MMA, you can, because there are fight teams at different clubs and guys that work together and train together. But it's not the same thing as being a fan of a football team or a hockey team or a basketball team. And although mixed martial arts certainly is dangerous, I think that you have to have the presence of danger in life in order to respect it, because there always will be danger. But if we just try and sanitize things like sports and culture and whatever else, and make it so that no one ever gets hurt, no one ever gets their feelings hurt, then that's exactly how people become soft and we stop being able to protect ourselves against the elements and stop being able to thrive under pressure and grow and build things. And I'm not saying that mixed martial arts is like the solution to all of society's problems. I just think that people in general showing more interest in something that's a little bit more intricate but also more personal and a little bit more raw is a good thing. UFC 319 Duplessis versus Shimaev is this Saturday, August 16th at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And this is a pretty nice card. Not sure why they don't have a picture of Aaron Pico there, but I'm seeing a few familiar faces and a few new ones. Michael Venom Page against Jared Cannonier, of course, is very interesting. And I have not been following the UFC nearly as closely as I used to or as I would like to. So I'm looking forward to getting back into this. Still probably not going to be buying the ESPN pay-per-views, but maybe I can get out to a bar this weekend, or I can just make a point of paying attention to what actually happens. Nice to see Jessica Andrade and Chase Hooper at it again. And Edson Barboza is a name I haven't seen in a while. I know that he had some tough losses recently. Yeah, he's lost 3 of his last 5, including his most recent fight just over a year ago. So he's in a tough spot, and I don't see his age here for some reason, but I remember him as being an incredible technical and tactical Muay Thai striker. He had that classic spinning heel to the jaw knockout of Terry Edom in a fight where he was already battering his opponent. So it'll be great to see what he can do with this. The big story, of course, is going to be the main event of the evening, and I honestly don't know what to think. I haven't been following these guys closely enough to really have an idea of what this is going to look like. They both seem like absolute monsters, but Khamzat is the one who has seemed absolutely unbeatable and relentless. So if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would probably put my money on him. But that's pretty easy because the smart money is on him. And I used to pay attention to the betting odds and do some fantasy betting and stuff like that. I might get back into it as I start paying more attention to the UFC and mixed martial arts. And my plan is to keep publishing content here. So please do remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can come back and watch the next one.